Second day of a multi-day blow, beginning of cobia season, and run out of things to do already around the house. Let's go find something to make a video about. Shit you gotta know. Hey, I'm gonna talk a little bit about fishing reels, or more specifically, review a couple of very affordable reels I've been using for a few years now. The KastKing Sharky 3 2000 and the ripped off right from the franchise, the Megatron 2000. First off, I gotta put this in some sort of context. Reels are the piece of equipment that are probably the biggest recurring equipment expense to a guide. Rods can last forever if you don't drop them overboard. Line is pretty cheap now, and Z-Mans have changed the whole soft plastic game. But reels, if you were able to get a year plus out of them, you're doing pretty good. 20 years ago, I was a Shimano guy. Then I became a user of pin spinning reels, and more recently, I switched my stuff over to DOA. All of them break down. Eventually gears have to be replaced or screws get stripped and you have to drill them out, and corrosion is never ending. Of course, you can work on them yourself if you have the patience and experience. Maybe you do. I don't. I fished 220 trips last year and work another 50-hour-a-week job. I also have a wife and 2 kids I really like hanging with. Working on reels is not something I'm going to do. It's a lot quicker to go to the tackle store, buy a new one, spool it up, and go fishing. Which brings me back to 2020 and supply constraints. Getting new reels from the store wasn't that easy. So I went on eBay looking for used tackle and stumbled across the cringeworthy, spelled with a K, KastKing Reels. Thus, the start of this review. Let me talk about the good and not so good aspects of these reels, starting with the not so good. 1. They look cheap. On the Megatron, the paint or coating or whatever you want to call it flakes off. Around the reel seat is really prone to corrosion. And if you forget to pull the handle off and grease the shaft, well, forget it. It'll be seized on there after the summer. The Sharky has the same problem of paint bubbling, but only on the handle for some reason. 2. Customer service. I've yet to talk to a live representative. I've sent multiple emails regarding parts and possible affiliation, and have only received replies sent at 3 in the morning with fractured English, which tells me that they're either an automated response composed by an elementary school intern whose clock is wrong, or they are probably coming from somewhere in Asia. Side note, my dockmate claims to have reached a KastKing regional rep to inquire about warranty issues on the flaking paint. Said dockmate claims said rep contends the reels aren't meant for salt water. This is completely contrary to what is on the KastKing website. 3. Parts. Getting parts until recently has been a challenge. Although the only parts I've needed were handles because I've had a couple sat on, one got seized and I had to break it off to remove it, and thumb rest come off. By the way, I've fixed that issue with soft bait glue. When I received a response on how to order parts finally, it was a convoluted one ordering from the KastKing website, whereas you had to leave a typed note as to which reel and model you were trying to get parts for. Not a deal breaker, but a slight pain in the ass in these entitled e-commerce times. So, before you click off because you think it's a half-ass run company trying to make money quick selling budget tackle, let me tell you about some of the good. First off, price. The Sharky 2000 retails for $58 and some change, and the Megatron 2000 is $53 plus some change. So I'd call that cheap. Roughly half the price of the DOA BG series reels I'd been using for my clients. Number 2, the drags are smooth. On their site, KastKing claims that both of these models can provide 33 pounds of drag. I spool my light tackle stuff with 15-pound braids, so testing the drag at 33 isn't going to happen. I did test them at 10 though, and as you can see here, they are as smooth as the day they came out of the box. Look, and you can tell these reels aren't new either. I hate when the drag starts to act like an old vehicle losing its transmission. So far, there's been no stop and go drag. 3. They have 10+1 and 7+1 ball bearings respectively. That means smooth reeling. As you can see here, the spool still turns freely when I let go of the handle. None of these reels that I use are sticky or have the pepper grinder feeling, which means corrosion hasn't penetrated inside, nor are the gears going. 4. Which brings me to durability. I have 8 of these reels now, 4 and 4. All of them work. Half of them are starting their 3rd season of service. To put that into perspective, I did some back calculating. Last year, this light tackle stand got used somewhere around 140 trips. I put them in service about halfway through 2020. Roughly speaking, they have somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 guided trips on them. All of them still work, all 8 of them. So the take-home message, as much as I really want to dislike this company for the seemingly half-ass outer materials and lack of stateside customer service, I can't. I can't remember if I've ever had a reel in this size range last as long when being used to catch reds, trouts, triggers, albacore, and other species that pull drag. Right now I have 8 of them. If you're trying to make it as a full-time guide, every way you can save money helps. Being able to cut down on one of your biggest recurring expenses as well. Dude, that's shit you gotta know.